And we're good. Hello. Welcome everyone to our career planning, designing our dream life. This is going to be a multi-part series. This is the first one. We have Nat and Matthias joining us. For those who can't make it, don't worry. That's why we have this recording. So let me share the table of contents. Today we're going to be discussing what a dream job is, how people define it. Number two, what should we aim for? The six kind of ingredients that's related with maximizing fulfillment and happiness. So we use what psychologists kind of define what happiness is, and we map out like some of the things that could be worthwhile for aiming for. And then last but not least, visualization of our career, and we're also going to be doing a little exercise based upon that. Yeah, and thank you guys for joining. Let's get right into it. So, what do you guys think when you guys think about job? What do you guys? How do you guys define jobs?
I can go first.
Yeah, go for it.
Um, I define it as a way of making money
Yeah.
and fulfilling your needs
Mm-hmm.
because it's pretty hard to maintain a balanced life without money income.
For sure.
And so I would view it as more of a essential
Mm-hmm.
part of life than like a career.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, that's how I would define it.
Yeah. I
I
mean,
am with Matej. The things that you do to in order to earn money.
yeah.
Yeah.
So,
And it's very surprising that most people, yeah, 30 from Pew Research, which is a pretty well known kind of research
Yeah.
organization, they found that 30% of American workers view their work they do as just a job to get them by rather than a stepping stone into a career. So it's just like a means to an end. Usually when I think about job, it's like it may not be something fulfilling, but it's just there's a certain outcome and it's more short term. And how would you guys define careers? I mean,
Do
it's
you
like
want to go
with
first, Nat?
okay, it could be a job
yeah.
that as a part of you as well.
Mm,
You enjoy and it's a part of you that you really, I don't know, you really enjoy doing that, and I don't know, Matisse, I need your help.
Uh, I would define it as more of a like compound of like a long road
mm,
where you have to like make choices and like choose from option to option B, and it's gonna lead you to two different like pathways,
mm,
and you'll have to like make yourself like accountable for your choices. So if you want A, you need to take this path or the other, and if you want B, etc.
mm,
Mm.
That's how I
that
would define it for now.
mm.
mm, that allows you to growth in some way, your
Yeah,
career.
Yeah, it really seems like how you guys are defining it as a like a journey because there are multiple pathways. You could also kind of craft your own uh, path, your decisions, and it could result in different outcomes, which hopefully fulfills the desired goal that you set out for yourself. And how career is defined is it's what you do for a living, which includes education, your training, memberships, and your entire history of jobs. So this is where you allocate quite a lot of time spending throughout your, I guess, like your daily life, and a one that usually people kind of feel a sense of purpose or even identity with. You know, when you think about, for example, jobs or labels such as I'm a doctor or I'm a lawyer, I'm a teacher, I'm a plumber, etc., etc. Like there are some people might associate that with certain values, you know, of those careers that
of course.
is very important to them. And usually jobs are more focused, more focused on the short term, whereas careers are more focused on the long run, just because of the fact that career includes a history of jobs.
Yeah.
Okay, I think we understood the difference between the two, and then as I think that stated, job could also be a career as well. It depends on kind of how you view it, because career essentially it's what you're spending time on, and it's the history of jobs. So how do you guys think most people picture a dream job? Let me ask you guys, what is a dream job for you? Like, what does it constitute? And don't read the slides.
Should I go first?
Go for it if you have.
Yeah. So the question is, what's the question again?
What's a dream job for you?
Okay. Dream job.
Mm-hmm.
A job where I'm not like dreading myself to work.
Okay.
Like a job or a career in which I feel like fulfilled by it, or
Mm-hmm.
like I have enough motivation to go further and not
Mm-hmm.
just like be in one position and then stay in that same position for my entire career.
Mm-hmm.
So jobs that won't motivates you to move forward,
Mm-hmm.
and that's pretty much it. And of course, you have to be paid well, depending on your long-term goals.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, short term, it would be fulfillment and happiness
Mm-hmm.
by doing the said job, and of course, money is a big factor too.
Mm-hmm.
That's pretty much it for me.
And I add time that you have to, for example, if you have to set a family or if you want to do another things, that your job have to permit you have more free time, or have could be more open to do another task, or you know what I mean?
Yeah, so you're talking about flexibility over your personal
yeah,
goal.
sorry, I did a personal
Yeah, free time too.
goal. Also for me, I would like the aspect that you can, even though you are doing the same job, you can change, or you can, for example, in my case, it's really different 1 year for another year. It's not always the same task, because if not, will be so boring to me.
Yeah, so you're talking about like the right medium of challenge and not too boring. It's not too hard, not too challenging where you don't feel like you could achieve it, but it's like that sweet spot, right? Of like that kind of like that flow state you're talking about, where maybe you could feel a sense of true purpose or feel fulfillment. And for you guys, what's a dream job currently for you guys? I mean, that you already have like your career figured out. Would you state that?
Currently,
Yeah.
right now.
What?
Well, right now I don't have I would not call it a dream job. It's a like part-time student job, so it's very not worth very much to me right now. Like I couldn't care less if I like stop working there, because it's just a way of making like money to pay my car and pay my like phone bill, whatever. So right now it's not very important to me that it's fulfilling or not. Well, it's not, but yeah. So as of now, since I'm starting law school next semester, it would be like getting an internship, like paid or not paid, and to get like a job experience in the law domain. So for now, that would be it for me.
And then how about you, Fernand?
No, I would say that in my case, I don't know if my job currently is my dream job, but because it's not all perfect. But if I had to choose another field or another job, I won't change my profession. So I think I'm happy where I am.
You found the right spot.
Yeah.
But you can always improve. You can. I mean, I'm happy with my current situation, but you can always improve, or you can always change your
For sure.
your specialization or your. So.
Yeah, that's so cool. You found it.
And how do you guys when you
But
guys think about these, it's usually you guys set certain factors, right? Like purpose, fulfillment, flexibility, payment, these things. And usually a lot of people do this as well. They daydream different jobs and think about the satisfaction that they will derive from that specific job. So a main factor is like self-reflection. They think about, okay, what are the things that I really value, and would this job really satisfy kind of like those needs? But the problem with like this approach is, we're really horrible at predicting how well and how enjoyable an experience is due to failing to consider all of the details. So there's this like psychologist named Dan Gilbert who stated that we judge the pleasure of our experience by its ending rather than the whole journey. And I found this like almost like a fascinating insight and remarkable, because usually think about how when we're doing I'm going to give an example. Yeah, an example is a week away in a far off exotic location with less to do can create just as many positive memories as an intense ski day trip packed with high intensity bursts of excitement. Or you could think about how you're studying for, let's say, like a very long time. Like you're doing a 5-hour study day, and throughout the first 4 hours is just horrible. Nothing is going as planned. But the last hour, you have a really, really productive session. And so the whole experience of your study session, it's like, oh, wow, I had a really productive day just because of that last moment. And so,
Yeah.
The approach is like, okay, we've kind of make these ideas of like, okay, yeah, I feel like I'm going to be super satisfied if I put myself, but it's not really concreted. There is no kind of like based foundation, because we're not good at predicting what is best for us in each stages of the experience. So
Yeah.
let's continue on how other people describe fulfilling career. So 2 goals that people usually pursue is money and low stress. From these metrics, the best jobs in 2015 was an actuary, and this actuary is someone who uses statistics to measure and manage risk, often within the insurance industry. But they've also done a survey based upon, actuaries, like how do they find their work meaningful? But only 36% of actuaries found their work meaningful, compared to
That's horrible.
Exactly. Yeah, compared
That's
to
very realistic, I think. But
yeah, exactly. I mean, they're paid
people that
well,
use
and there's not a lot of
work, and
stress.
that's all. Yeah.
And people, based upon your instincts, like these money and low stress, that sounds great, right? But in reality, there are other factors that contributes to a fulfilling career that sometimes we don't account for. And one of the reasons why these are not good measures is financial security matters up until it doesn't. So there's this law of diminishing return, where you get increments, really good increments, but then at the point of diminishing point, I think that's at the diminishing point, it starts to curve, and there's very, very incremental. There's little to no drastic changes. But yeah, there are studies where recently, I think in like 2019 or 2018, like money does give you happiness, right? But only so incrementally. But if your goal is only to maximize, more material things, then of course that could be important. But it's not the only thing that you should worry about, because there's things that it can't buy, like it could buy a house but not a home. You guys have probably heard those. There's a lot of financial problems that could be solved, but there's a lot of things that are not accounted just for by money, such as sense of purpose. Maybe you're making boatloads, but you don't really feel meaning or feel that impactful. I remember, Matthew, you talked about, you care about not staying in the same position, but what if you're making boatloads of money, but it really, what I'm trying to say is it really depends on kind of like the metrics and goals that you set out for yourself. Number 2 is stress is not really correlated with fulfillment. Usually high sense of control was related with fulfillment. So for example, think about people in very stressful situations like doctors or politicians or military officers. These positions are related with very high stress, but they feel a sense of responsibility and control, which is related with fulfillment and purpose. So I found these things pretty fascinating. And let's talk about money and stress. So these are significant. There are significant things money can buy, but there's also limits. So we talked about the law of diminishing returns in the beginning. Like, of course, the curve is going to be almost it's positive slope because you know you need basic needs, and at that moment you need to get to a certain level where your quality of living is able to it's good. It's not at a point of like living in poverty area, like in a poverty like state where you're constantly being worried about, okay, when's my next meal gonna be? Do I have proper health insurance? Things like that. Those are money problems. But after a certain point, when you could afford those things, you could continuously upgrade your lifestyle. But there's also kind of a diminishing return on that. And also this graph, it shows your comfort zone, your panic zone, and then where your peak performance is. So this is kind of what, going back to what Matthias was stating of a challenging point, and I think that you stated this as well, where there's opportunities to grow, right? It should never be in like a boring state, like in your comfort zone. It could, because you're not really learning as much, there needs to be a little bit of pressure so that you're able to get to a performance where you're growing and you're really stretching, but not too pressured, because then you're going into panic zone, you're going into kind of like a state of anxiety, and that's not really good for your mental health overall. So the demands placed on you should be able to match your abilities, and finding this, it's super important for you to grow as a human. So what should you aim for? So Professor Seligman, this is another psychologist, summarized the key ingredients of well-being as a positive emotion, engagement, relationships, meaning, as well as achievement. So these were kind of like, they did a meta-analysis of some ingredients that's related with well-being, and these were the characteristics. And applying this within our dream job, here was 6 ingredients, and this was based upon a book from 80K Hours. And 80,000 hours is the amount of time we spend within a career. Number 1 was work that's engaging. Number 2, work that helps others, service. And number 3 is work you're good at. Number 4, work with supportive colleagues. Number 5, lack of major negatives. For example, long commute times or just things that you might not really enjoy. And then number 6 is work that fits with the rest of your personal life. So this was also very important. Nat stated this, like we kind of all stated some of these factors as well. So let's actually get right into our first exercise. So picking 2 career options which we would be interested in, score them from 1 to 5. Actually, let's get to this exercise probably at the end, because I think we should go over the visualization first. So visualization of our career. But before then, let's what should I speak? So visualization of our career. If we look at the right chart, like we see the time breakdown of a long human life. This is, I believe, we have around 750,000 to 800,000 hours. If given, I think if you live up to 80 years old. So we could see the hours broken down, and this like really makes you surprised. Childhood, how much time have we already spent in childhood? 175,000 hours. So that part's gone for most of us. And then we also see 250,000 hours of meaningful adult time. So this is including our career as well as our free time. This free time is when we spend time with our family, our friends, our loved ones, our hobbies, as well as travel. And then look at the amount of time we spend taking care of our human body just to upkeep ourselves. Sleeping, eating, washing, exercise, other logistics. This takes up, around 50, I think it seems like 50% or a little bit more. 325,000 hours. But in a career, it depends whether you have a short career, a medium, or long. But I'm assuming a lot of us are gonna have long careers. So let's give around 150,000 hours, or 100,000 to 150,000 hours is kind of like the ballpark that we should be looking at. And that's a big chunk, right? That's, I would say, what part of that do you guys think that is within the graph? Maybe like 1/5 of the entire pie chart. So yeah,
1/5.
this is a very meaningful choice that we're going to be making, because it's not like you get multiple chances. Like, although, yeah, that's true. But if you pick a certain domain or a certain industry, like you can't just, for example, if I committed my around 5 years learning about gas or natural resources, it would kind of be hard if I wanted to move something into, let's say, engineering. Or no, that's related. What would be completely different? Like, let's say law
Then
law or something. Like,
yeah,
there are those lateral moves would be very hard. So it's better kind of to spend a big chunk of time figuring and designing a life that we would be kind of happy living with, and we building a foundation where we're like, okay, yeah, we made this choice. And another thing I wanted to speak about was who Americans spend their time with by age. Look at this. Look at the amount of time we spend alone. We definitely have to get comfortable with ourselves, especially in this time where we are
yeah.
constantly distracted, and it's very hard to embrace boredom. Like, a lot of people, I don't think they could just sit and be in silence. Like, for example, if you see someone just staying in silence looking at a wall, you would think like that person's weird. That person definitely something's going on in his head. But like, that was probably normal back in the days, just sitting and embracing boredom. But with so much stimulation within technologies these days, it's very hard for us to just sit still. And the reason why I put this was, look at the time we spend with our coworkers. If you see the green graph, within our late mid-20s to late around 50s, and maybe even 55, we're spending a big chunk of our time with our coworkers within workplaces.
More than friends.
Exactly. Yeah. So
it's true.
So that kind of.
But what if you don't work with like people?
Okay, well then I guess this doesn't apply. But this was just the.
You're like a home worker.
Yeah, I mean, that could be maybe due
to.
A
lot of people face that.
Yeah, true.
Like, you just have a couple 100 hours free time.
Yeah.
Or spent alone.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, spent alone.
Yeah, I guess
so you become even more alone.
Yeah, especially if you don't have that coworker time, right? But yeah, I found this graph like very surprising. The amount of first time we spend with ourselves. Also, choosing our partner is super important. One of the biggest decisions we're gonna be making, because think about just from your 60s to 80s, like alone, but also
the only thing you can do is to be with.
Exactly, you're spending a lot of your time with your partner, and across 30 to 60 as well. Another thing is family. Like, it's kind of tragic to see the decline from 15 to 20, because like you're transitioning, getting into that workforce. So the importance of family, it's necessary.
But it's normal too.
Yeah.
It's always been like that too.
What are you saying that?
Go ahead, Matt.
Under than coworkers, if you pay attention, is you spend less time with family in your mid.
Yeah.
40s with your coworkers.
Yeah. That is surprising, huh?
Yeah. And in North America, like, old people are treated horribly. So like, if you go to, let's say, Japan or Europe, old people are way more better off than here. Like, especially in my where I live, it's horrible. Like, they live in like separate buildings, and we have to make reservations to go see them. It's horrible.
Oh, I see. So you're talking about like
that may be like a reason for the time decline, like maybe.
The decline in what? In
time, like you have less time available to see them because they're not like at home.
Oh, I see.
Or yeah, that's what I was.
Yeah, if they're in like a facility being taken care of, like from service workers.
Exactly.
Gotcha. Yeah, so let me read this quote off. Jumping forward to a person's early adulthood, 25-year-olds spend an average of 275 minutes per day alone and 199 minutes with coworkers. This aligns with people in their 20s beginning to enter into the workforce. So a lot of the people that are entering, they're going to be spending more like a lot of time alone, but also a big chunk of their time more so than their family, their children. Yeah, family, children with let me see.
Friends.
Family, children, friends. Yeah, with coworkers, which is pretty surprising. So this is just to highlight like the importance of who you decide to surround yourselves with, because as we discussed, one of the things that was one of the ingredients was to be working in an environment where you have supportive colleagues. Because if you are working in like say office politics, like there's people that are maybe certain traits, like certain they're not really positive, or they're not too,
Yeah.
they could really be
Yeah,
a net
malicious.
negative. Yeah, right, they could be harmful, and that's not really a good environment that you would be want to surround yourself in. So that's
And
another
you don't
reason.
get to choose who you work with, so
No.
it's
Yeah,
it's like completely left to like chance,
yeah,
odds.
Yeah. But in my opinion, you don't choose who work with, but you can choose the way you talk with them, or
Mhm.
because I can get on well with a coworker, but at least I try to talk in a positive way, or I try to, because we spend many hours together, so
Mm-hmm.
you have to, or you should try to get on well, even
For
though
sure,
you don't choose your coworkers.
for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, there are a lot of things that's not within kind of our control. Like we can, yeah, as you guys said, like there's a big chance, luck is a big factor of it, and you need to learn how to adapt to kind of get the most out of it. But another point is like you could also position yourself in a way that you're surrounded by, good coworkers, or certain values within a certain career. Let's say maybe, for example,
Mm.
you want to be a nurse, and all nurses maybe carry a certain level of responsibility or respect, but even then you could find, probably like problems. So there's a lot of things that's not within your control, but still there are ways to position yourself so you are surrounded by people who are hopefully carry similar values as you do. And yeah, there's usually three types of career plan, and this was from an author named Tim Urban. So the first one is I'm completely indecisive and lost. Number two is I'm headed in one direction, but I know deep in my heart that I don't want to. And then number three is I am marching towards what I actually want. So those are kind of like three different career plans usually people have. The first one is like, they're kind of lost in this territory. Maybe they're just beginning out their careers. Number two is, I feel like I'm headed in one direction, but I don't really want to pursue this. I want something different. And then last but not least is like I'm marching towards what I want. Like I'm already happy. I'm very satisfied. I've found what I feel purpose and what I could scale in. So these are yeah, we'll do this exercise first, and then we'll go back to the one before. And yeah, this will kind of reaffirm the career decision that we make, we have already made, or even going into. So let's get a piece of paper, and then let's do this quick exercise. So number one, we're going to write down what our wants are. So I listed the 6 ingredients, but they're not like they're not a law that you have to follow. Those are just a framework where you could utilize a tool that you could find and utilize to find the best career for you, or a career that you would enjoy. And this one is really questioning, listing out your own tools, your own ingredients that you want. So talking about your wants, what is your current position, which is like your reality, so that we're more practical. And then number 3 is your option pool. An option pool is where your wants and your reality, it's like the Venn diagram, where it's in between, where we could pursue the option pool out of the option pool. Hope that makes sense. Does that make sense?
Yeah, more or less.
Okay. Let's try this exercise really quickly. And I'll put a timer for 5 minutes or so. All right. How you
Yeah,
guys
I'm all
doing?
done.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm good.
Difficult.
Do you guys want to start? Do you want to share?
Sure.
All right. What did you put?
Want to go, Nat, or
Math is better you, I think.
okay? I'll go. So I'll read the questions, or
Yeah, go for it.
yeah. Okay. So first question. Um. So what are the wants? Of course, I want money.
Mm-hmm.
That's not the first thing.
Mm-hmm.
I want um not flexibility because I'm not like a very extroverted person, except for the like people I know. So the biggest wants I would like care to have is growth,
Mm-hmm.
like opportunities and respect, because
Mm-hmm.
I don't want to be like disregarded or
Mm-hmm.
like hucked in
Mm-hmm.
a bad way or disrespectful way.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, so respect, money, and opportunities.
Mm-hmm.
So these three are like for now,
Mm-hmm.
because yeah, for now, are the three big ones like I would really want to have in my future career.
Mm-hmm.
So that's it for the first question.
Okay.
Yeah, do we do like first question, like everyone, then second,
Okay.
third?
Yeah. We can do that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Nah.
So if in my case, at that point of my life, I want, as Matthew says, more money, and also to be more competent in my field.
Mm-hmm.
Still to continue learning about many things or kids and that.
Mm-hmm.
And also flexibility.
Mm-hmm.
That okay, I want to earn more money or to have more or be more competent, but also I want the time, or I don't want to waste all my daily time
Right.
in doing that, because I think that I should enjoy my life as well.
For sure.
So yeah, okay, that there are my 3 points.
Okay. For my 3 ones, I just like kind of adopted the same. I've been like kind of talking about this quite a lot recently. Of like, I got this from Naval Ravikant, who's like this kind of like philosopher, and also like an angel investor, and he talks about the 3 freedoms in life, which is number 1, financial freedom. Actually, I'm not sure if this was from maybe I'm just, but financial freedom, location freedom, as well as time freedom. So the ability to kind of like not worry too much, constantly burdened about like money problems, because you could just make probably more by growing, getting opportunities, and increasing your income skills. Number 2 was like location freedom, being able to not be tied down and not be so fixated, and being able to have like that ability to work maybe even remotely. I think will give me that flexibility. And then last but not least is time freedom, to be, because like a lot of people, they could be making good amount of money, but if they don't own their time, that's not like a life that I could envision. Because like, what are you doing this for? Hopefully it's for your family or of service around your community. So I think that time aspect is like really essential for flexibility and living a life that I would like to live. Next up, yeah, next let's talk about reality. What is in reality for you guys?
Yeah, the careers that are realistic
Mm-hmm.
to achieve. For me right now, it's of course going to be lawyer,
Mm-hmm.
something related to law.
Mm-hmm.
So um, I have two like major options.
Mm-hmm.
I have path A, do my bachelor's degree in law and then do the bar and become a lawyer. That's
Mm-hmm.
the easy way,
Mm-hmm.
and I don't want to take it because it's too easy and too settling. So I would like to. There's a thing called a notary lawyer. So
Mm-hmm.
that's a lawyer that specializes in like contracts and transactions and stuff
Mm-hmm.
like that. a harder way. So I would like to. So these are the two options.
Mm-hmm.
So the second one is like 4 years longer, but
Mm-hmm.
I think it will be worthwhile because I'll be, as we spoke earlier, more satisfied or
Mm-hmm.
uh, yeah, satisfied. So these two are like the major careers that are realistic for me right now.
Mm-hmm.
It may change, but for now, these are the two like more realistic
Right.
careers.
Mm-hmm. For you,
In my case,
mm-hmm.
my reality is that as I'm a public servant,
Mm-hmm.
you know, if it's the word, I can do many things as to earn, in order to earn money. For example, I just be a teacher, teacher in a school. For example, there are only specific spots that I can do apart from teaching in a school. I can't set my own business. I can't I can't do another thing because I'm working as a public servant. So, but my reality. So I have only, I think, 3 paths if I want to grow. The first path it will be, for example, still continue studying and I have a PhD and then end up teaching in a university. But I think I and even though I'm not really sure if I can do that without losing my actual position. So I think it's truly difficult. The second one, I can train a specific amount of hours to another teachers, or for example, in order to pass the exam that I have to pass in academies or something like that, I can train another teacher. Or I can, at the third path, it's like change my profile. As I'm teaching little kids, I can specialize to another. For example, I like if I don't know if any children have disabilities with his pronunciation or with type of language troubles, you can work with these children. So to change my profile to being a teacher as well, but teach another subject. And this is so I'm not sure about who is the next step that I'll have to what I'll do.
Yeah, interesting.
Yeah.
Because for example, if I train to another teachers, okay, I will earn more money,
right?
Because if you do it well, it's very lucrative,
right?
But you have to be very, very prepared. But I don't like kids as much as I like being in a school, for
Teaching.
example, teaching in a school. I don't know if it's worth it to spend as well the afternoons teaching other people. But if I change and the third path, if I change my profile or my specialty, I will the same. I earn the same amount of money that I earn right now. It's just that I will be able to be more competent. I know more about different problems that could be my pupils. That we will be in the same level that I am. I will be.
Which one are you leaning more towards out of the 3 paths?
I'm not really sure. Maybe I will start. Depends. I like the idea of the money, to be honest, because a year ago they offered me to be a job in an academy to train another teachers, but I say no because I don't know. I think I'll start to specialization in another, even though I will earn the same money, but I I will
Will
end
feel
up
more
being
fulfilled.
more competent, or I think as I'm teaching the whole, not a specific signature in my signature or subject in my school, I think that there are some areas that I'm not truly competent about.
I see.
One of them is when they have problem about pronunciation, for example, the R's, or I'm feeling that I'm lack of resources. So if I study that career, I think I will know more about that. So maybe the third one, that one, just in order to be more wisdom or wise, or I don't know.
Yeah.
Sorry about my English. the
No, that's
person
okay.
who is listening to me in the future.
No, I think that's great. I think you would feel more being resourceful will just make you feel more confident within your domain. And usually when you are able to build, serve a certain niche, within this case it's like students with disability, you're going to
And
be
as
very,
well,
very valuable.
I think in the future I have more skills. I can, if I want to end up teaching another teachers,
Right.
I'll be more competent.
Yeah.
Because I know a lot of. So
For sure.
And now in Spain we're changing, the law is changing. So I had to. It's a mess. If I want to be in academy, it's a mess because I have to work a lot.
Yeah.
A lot, and it's not paid enough for that amount of working.
Right.
Yeah.
All right. Well, for me, the reality, I think I was quite in like a zone of like a lot of opportunities, but didn't know which path to kind of pick. But as of now, what I have written down, I wanted to go into investment banking. I think that's like what a lot of I think ambitious people, that's like the career, like traditional trajectory is, either you go into law, you go either into banking, become like a finance person, or you go into tech, or going into med school. Those are like the traditional path in this modern day. So I wanted to do investment banking in the beginning because I recognize like there's lots of money in it. Like the growth opportunity, it's kind of like laid out for you. But for me, I think I wouldn't really find too much impact or kind of like meaning, kind of slaving my maybe like 70 to 100-hour work weeks. I don't think that's like necessarily bad. I think I will definitely learn a lot, but I think I would be able to accelerate that learning in like other domains. The reality for me currently within economics, usually there's a lot of people go into finance. They could either pursue a PhD, or they could either go into like management consulting. They could also, there's, what else? You could become like an analyst for companies. You could also be a data scientist. The opportunities are like quite a lot. I think as of now, what I'm focused on is probably management consultant, because it allows me to learn about different industries, maybe within healthcare, maybe within biotechnology, maybe within the education space, etc., etc. So I think just like that will make me kind of recognize, like, unlock a better understanding of how the world really operates. Other things I wrote down was doing like personal finance teacher, because I recognize that there's such a huge gap between what the general public knows and what people within careers in finance knows. I also wrote kind of like entrepreneur as well, being able to set up different businesses as I'm running currently, like as of now. And then, yeah, I think those three are kind of like the main one. But I also have been talking about like programming, because I think that's going to be a very lucrative path. I mean, it has been the past like past like 40 years or so. So I think there's a great potential there. but that's currently like my reality, and that seems realistic to achieve. What'd you say?
Nothing. My mic just opened up.
Oh. All right. And then last but not least is our option pool. What do you guys think like that intersects? I mean, I think Nat kind of already spoke about her option pool, which is being able to specialize in disability, seems like the most wise, despite the lucrative aspect of doing a PhD, but that requires a lot of risk. You might lose your current position as well. So the option pool where it seems most realistic and your wants also meet, it seems like it's the third one for you. And then for Matthias, you stated that, I don't know, I feel like for at least from my understanding, I thought the bar exam was extremely hard, but you're saying it's too easy.
Yeah.
So
No. I'm not saying it's easy.
I thought
Like it's the easier path because it's less like it's shorter.
I
So
see.
you only do like a bachelor, and
Yeah.
then that's 3 years,
Mm-hmm.
and then the bar is like 2 years.
Mm-hmm.
So that's a full 5 years
Mm-hmm.
instead of like doing a bachelor, then a
Mm-hmm.
master,
Mm-hmm.
and then the bar.
Mm-hmm.
So, and I was planning also doing like a Juris Doctor. So that's the like master program for like being able to practice law everywhere in Canada
Mm-hmm.
and even in like New York and a couple of states.
Mm-hmm.
Because like here in Canada, it's very weird. We have like the civil French law,
Mm-hmm.
and we have the English common law for like uh Canada's law. So it's very complicated, but like you have to do separate like law degrees to be able to practice everywhere.
Mm-hmm.
So that's my plan for now, and that or the notary thing I was talking about. So yeah, because the bar exam is very hard. Like my mom did it like a lot of years ago,
Mm-hmm.
and it was yeah. She told me like it was the hardest thing she ever did.
Oh wow.
Yeah, apparently like they greet you and they're like, yeah, you're gonna die here.
Okay. Yeah, that's tough. Yeah. I
Yeah,
mean,
Good
I
luck.
can't imagine. I can't imagine.
yeah. It's like the final exam that like grants you the title of being a lawyer,
Right.
and
Right.
it has to be like practical, technical, and like logical too, with basic knowledge and
Yeah.
advanced knowledge too.
Yeah.
So I can't imagine how like long that exam is gonna be.
Yeah. How
Yeah.
many hours is it?
I think it's three blocks of 6 hours. I'm not so sure. It depends.
Wait,
It depends.
six,
It
this is
depends.
18-hour exam. Oh
Yeah.
gosh.
Let me check.
It's a test or is you have to write because
You, I'm not sure yet, but it depends on the province in the here in Canada. Like in Quebec, I think it's 3 block, and like each block is like one type of exam. So you have
Right.
like theoretical,
Right.
practical, and then like technical,
Mm-hmm.
or like uh,
Gosh, the amount of knowledge the human capital required to take one of those exams is just absurd. Yeah, anyone within like, law or I feel like medical, it's just
well, all of the like fields they require like a big final exam. It's just that I think the dangers, because imagine if you have like a non-competent lawyer,
yeah,
that's like
yeah, of course.
he has like your potential like future life in prison between his hands, and like he
Mm-hmm.
fucks it up. Like, it's unimaginable. So you
Yeah,
have to be very sure to like be competent.
yeah,
Competent.
it's no joke in that.
Yeah.
definitely. So yeah, just like imagining kind of like the processes, the competitiveness, it just makes make my shoulders a little heavy because I could feel. I usually hear stories and it's like, wow, that just doesn't seem fun,
It's
but
inhuman, but it's fun.
yeah. I mean, you somehow have to find like real passion, I feel like, to really enjoy it. Or like people who just
Yeah.
love suffering, I think. I guess like they're like, wow,
Yeah.
wow, I
I'm
love
a bit
this.
like that too.
Huh?
I guess I'm like that.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
Yeah, but
You're wired
also
different.
like
Mm-hmm.
there's a lot of law schools here in Canada, so you depending on which you choose,
Mm.
like it could be very different. I chose like I had two options, and one was way like away from my home. It was like a 4 hour drive, so I had to like find an apartment, etc., etc.
Mm.
So I settled for the like closest to my
Mm.
closest one. It's a bit less like quote famous or
Right.
reputed, like yeah, but it's more accessible. I'll have more time to study, so
Yeah.
that's
Yeah,
great.
that's what's important, the flexibility.
Flexibility, exactly.
Yeah. All right, let's move.
Your plate.
Yes,
He has a lot on his plate.
Good luck.
Really.
it's only the beginning.
Yeah.
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 I
But
was
as long as you
complaining
find
about my
fulfillment in it.
exam and your path.
Yes.
But as long as he
Yeah,
finds
but
fulfillment, right? What were you gonna say?
yeah, but not you're a bit like older than me, I think, so that's you had to do like your things earlier.
Yeah.
So
And I had to take some
like
exams too.
yeah, it was
Yeah.
you just did it earlier than me
Yeah.
because obviously you're older.
But
So
Yeah.
but I think I had an exam, but I don't think okay. It was pretty hard, but I think the amount of you have to study is much more less than you math is.
yeah, but
Maybe
testing is different too.
yeah.
Like I couldn't like I can't even stand in front of a class and like teach for like 5 minutes. So like doing like a degree in teaching would be like horrible for me because I wouldn't even enjoy it.
Yeah. No, but that was the worst part about at least here in Spain. If you want to be in a public school, is the process that you have to pass until you go there.
Right.
That exam
Yeah.
was it's not so it's difficult because there are many people.
Mm-hmm.
So this is the worst thing. But I think your lawyer process not
Yeah.
comparable.
All right. So last thing, I think I'm trying to think if we should even do this because I feel like we already have it, but I guess this was like for people who are I guess in the beginning of their kind of like their journeys, which was what was it? Yeah, the 3 complete. If they're completely indecisive and lost, this is a great exercise, which is just picking 2 career options you're interested in. So it's just 2. Score them from 1 to 5 on each factor, which we have talked about, which was, some of the factors that you guys have stated was fulfillment, flexibility, growth opportunities, respect, etc., and just rating them. And then some ingredients just as a starting point, and there could be other factors you care about, such as, when have I been fulfilled in the past? What did these type of moments have in common? You could also think about mortality, right? If you were to die in 10 years, what would you spend your time doing? And that's I think the mortality aspect is super important because we operate as if we had infinite time sometimes, but we often forget that we're obviously going to be met with death, and that really has like a huge impact, at least in my frame of thinking, of like, okay, this isn't really meaningful. I don't think the world benefit or my community or whatever you value this is worthwhile. And then another thing you could think about is, can you make the ingredients more specific? For example, who you want to work with. Maybe you have certain people you would like to work with. Maybe it's a certain lawyer or a certain teacher you would like to be surrounded by. You could write that as the ingredient. And I guess like the goal of this exercise is just to find more about yourself, kind of like that self-reflection, but also having a concrete idea and having kind of like the analytical aspect support that by you rating those different things to see it actually like what you value and seeing if that it's validated, if the exercises, the factors are kind of met as well, because that will give you a strong foundation of, I guess, a dream job or dream kind of career for you. But yeah, I think this was like the first of the, I don't think it's like too value packed, but in the next session I think we're going to be discussing what type of impacts different careers have. For example, you might think that doctors have a huge impact on society, but if we contrasted that with a researcher, then you will soon like figure out that the impact is very, very large. Of course, it kind of like depends on what type of research, if the research goes well or not. But for example, let's say I'm a doctor, I could on average save like around 100 lives, let's say 100 lives. Whereas a researcher, let's say I create a cure for, what's an example, like Ebola or something, then the scale is just it's magnified by a great like 10-fold or 1,000-fold at times. And we'll go over like case studies from there. And then another thing we'll be covering next time is talking about, okay, how we could, what matters like now. Like, for example, within the 80 key hours book, one of the things was like, we are like people most likely who's going to be listening to this is like in the 10% of the wealth within global population. And so making contributions in that manner or through advocacy, just like speaking about these things, speaking about how we could make better impact, which is, doing your best, just like doing the best within kind of the skill sets and things that you feel purposeful in, and doing that is going to help your community, and that's impactful for the world. And then another thing, I'm just like brainstorming ideas as I'm speaking. Another thing was talking about what skill sets, what are the most pressing problems in the current world, I mean. So talking about just being aware that these exist. You don't really necessarily need to go into these domains because there could be a lot of resources already going into it. For example, climate change. Maybe it's better that you go into a neglected area. A neglected problem could be maybe global poverty, because too many resources are currently being spent on natural resources or climate change, for example. Or just talking about neglected problems. And then last but not least is talking about how to position ourselves for the future, because the future is always uncertain. And who knows, maybe your job will be automated, maybe. But usually in the service industry, I think the odds of service industry being automated is kind of low, because it's based upon kind of like the quality that you provide. It usually has like a human element that's kind of irreplaceable. So talking about those things, I think is going to be important, because I don't really hear people. I feel like the things that our parents were taught is completely different from what we are taught in kind of managing our careers, right? For example,
completely different.
Yeah.
Because old school is more about like practical stuff and values, and now it's more about like future envisioning.
Right. Just think about how difference. Like in the past, the word influencer, like or the word like, or you could make money from playing video games. You could
streamer.
Yeah, exactly. You could what are some other like new jobs? You could be a drone technician, like you're drawing moving drones as a living. You could be a video editor for a living. You could be, I don't know, like eating, mukbang, like, whatever.
Like Instagram manager.
Yeah, exactly. Social media manager. Those are, there's a lot of capital, flows that's going there. So yeah, a lot of the jobs, I think that it was like around like 40, I forgot what the right wording of this thing I read was like jobs 40 years from now, there's going to be new jobs that we can't even fathom of currently. And same thing in the past 40 years ago, there was jobs currently that didn't even exist. So
cleaning robots.
Yeah, cleaning. Exactly. Who knows? Like
robot.
Yeah. Feature for robots.
Could be. Yeah. Definitely.
This is why you have to be open always.
Yeah, I think so. Because at the moment when you're you're like closed, you're like, I got it figured out. Like I know, like this path, this is for me. And then you get to there, it's like, oh, sorry, that's gone. Yeah, it's gone. Or maybe like what you have expected is not met with like the reality. Maybe you are promised respect, or maybe you were promised, let's say, like money, but society could devalue that work, and it really what the goal is, like it's hopefully providing value for society because you're compensated based upon the value that you provide, and that requires like really being open-minded and learning. So yeah, I appreciate you guys for being open-minded enough just to like have this conversation, because I know a lot of, you know, people might think like I don't know anything, but yeah, of course I don't, like, but I think it's worthwhile kind of bringing in these data points so that we have a more open-minded kind of framework of looking
You
at
should
things.
charge for this course.
No,
You should
no,
like
no,
charge
no,
$120 per person.
not at all. No.
It's gonna be the Gym Academy.
Yeah, become a
No.
guru. You know, like back in the days, I mean, maybe this was not a job, but there's people these days who are like gurus selling courses
Yeah.
like crazy.
Nope.
So,
At least for me, it's an academy, English academy. So
oh yeah,
maybe I should pay
Yeah,
more.
it's great.
No. Yeah, but yeah, that was our first session, and I'll see you guys probably in the next session and whenever I finish kind of like the research. All right.
Yeah, that's fine.
Yeah.